Welcome, welcome, welcome. How is it going, everyone? It is September 24th, 2025. This is the RambleCast. I'm your host, Cody Toombs, and with me I have Corbin Davenport.
Hello.
So, boy, you know what? It just actually hasn't been a week. Nothing happened. Nothing at
I
all.
would love a week where nothing happens. I'm so sick of things happening.
Yeah, things happening is kind of the bane of our existence.
Yeah, I'm getting increasingly stressed out by things happening. And unfortunately my literal job is to watch as things happen. So I'm just kind of boned is what I'm getting at.
Imagine how bad your job would be if you had to make things happen.
That's true.
Watching things happen is, yeah, I mean, it sort of sucks that things are out of your control, but at the same time, man, making things happen, it's brutal.
Yeah, not all of us can have as cushy jobs as insert right-wing media person here. There's a lot of them now.
Wow, there are certain jokes that I am inclined to make, but ABC might cancel me and then bring me back.
Well, it's okay because YouTube is a free speech zone now.
Yeah, sure it is.
I don't think I put it in the list because it's really depressing. But YouTube is allowing everyone back who got banned for spreading COVID misinformation and I think something else.
The January
Is
Sixers.
Yeah, so that's really cool. I really appreciate that. However, if you say anything positive about trans people, your channel will still be deleted. So
Yeah.
it's cool. I love everything. But
Um,
we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about something very cool, which is
Indeed.
Techathon. Speaking of, the everything sucks right now. We are here to make it suck slightly less this Saturday. On September 27th, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're going to be streaming for 12 hours with me, Cody, a lot of other tech people, and who are like writers and YouTubers and software developers. Just a lot of people. We're going to be playing some games. We're going to be doing tech discussions like this. I still haven't written all the prompts for that, so I have to do that probably tonight. Yeah, so be sure to go to techathon.live and follow the Twitch channel so you get an alert when we go live, or you can set a reminder on your cellular telephone for 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday to go watch. Which you can watch it from the techathon.live website. The Twitch embed is there. Or you can watch it on Twitch wherever you want. Doesn't matter. As long as you watch it and give us some money. Or give Doctors Without Borders money through us.
I was gonna say
we have no access to the money. So if you're like, I don't trust these guys with my money dollars,
you should.
That's
not.
fine. You're not trusting us. We are but the vessel to the doctors.
I think that's a condition the doctors might want to actually check out.
Yeah. But so we're gonna do tech discussions. We're gonna have a Valorant tournament, which I don't really know how that works, but Adam's figuring that out. We're gonna play some Overwatch, some golf with your friends, some Jackbox. We're gonna play Fall Guys. We might be the only people in existence who are gonna play that on that day. We'll see. I think it'd be really funny if we can get enough viewers to the point where we're like at the top of that game on Twitch for a while. Because I checked it doesn't seem like that high of a bar. So I think that's an attainable goal. I don't expect we'd be at the top of Twitch for Overwatch, unfortunately.
Probably pretty far from it. Honestly, I need to check if I even have Fall Guys still installed.
I had to download it. you could play that on your Xbox or PC.
Yeah.
PC, the MacBook that's forced to run Windows.
Yes. The boot camped MacBook. Boot camp book. Yeah, so we I love how Corbin named just himself and myself and had clearly skirted admitting that he had forgotten the names of anyone else who's going to be there. So congratulate Corbin on that.
Yeah, I didn't forget because I typed out their names many times the other day, setting up scheduled social media posts. But yeah, it's me, it's Cody, it's Zach, it's as far as Tech Tales guests go. Cody's there, Zachary Wander's there, Katie Jansen, Adam Conway, Joe Fidowa, Jacob, and then I think a couple others might show up. Michael Kreider, who was at Android Police, I think now mostly rides at PC World, I think. So yeah, got a couple more people, but should be a fun time. I hopefully we raise a lot of money, and as I said earlier, a lot of the work going into this one was sort of automating and modernizing the setup process. So hopefully when we do this again next year sometime, it will be a lot less setup time, hopefully. Because it was I wanted to do another one this year. That's not happening. I'm sorry. I don't have that in me in the next 3 months, but sometime next year, sure. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll probably look into this someday and see if we can't take some of the load off of Corbin and expand what what Techathon can do in the prep.
Yeah, I mean we did distribute. More of the work has been distributed behind the scenes than the last few times, but a lot of it is just work that like someone has to do, and like I didn't mind. And again, a lot of things that are set up now that had to be set up, so in the future that won't have to happen again. Like now the website looks nice. I don't have to do that again. Next time I'm just switching out the charity names and we're done. Easy peasy. So yeah, go get ready, prepare yourselves.
Indeed. And in case for any reason someone wasn't already looking, here is the schedule. It's on the screen. Obviously, go to the website itself if you'd like to see the schedule. I think you can also add this to your no, I guess not.
No, not this time. It would have been, again, more work to go dump it in a Google Calendar. So I just duplicated the Excel sheet and put it there.
Fair enough. Yes, what is the funding goal?
It
as
is
much as possible.
I believe $1,000. It's already set up. Oh, someone donated $10 already. That's great.
Neat.
I don't know who that was. I probably have to go check the back end for that, but yeah, it's $1,000, and ideally we get close to the mark, that $1,000 mark, and we push it, make it 2,000 or 1,500 or something. But yeah,
obviously the goal must be $1 billion.
1 billion. That'd be cool. That'd be a lot of money. I feel good about that.
So would the doctors who are lacking borders.
I'm sure, for sure. So go clear your schedules for Saturday. And speaking of giving money,
oh yes,
the
to an
Walt Disney.
organization that is far less deserving.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, the Walt Disney Corporation would also like some money. Uh, I just checked the web page. I don't think this banner was up here before, but maybe I missed it. Where I loaded the Disney Plus price page, and there's a banner at the top that says, "For a limited time, you can sign up for a monthly subscription to a Disney Plus Hulu ESPN bundle at a discounted price for the first 12 months." I really don't know. My brain has completely stopped working, so maybe that was there when I looked at this page a couple days ago. But I want to say that's new.
I would bet it's new, just because the backlash on this has not been generous at all.
Yeah. So we didn't talk about, because I think it all happened after this last week, and it was also it stayed mostly a political story, which was Jimmy Kimmel said a completely like reasonable remark about the death of Charlie Kirk, which was a whole thing. And I believe it was, I don't know who got mad first, but like the guy who's currently running the FCC got mad. A bunch of right-wing guys got mad.
I'm going to argue they pretended to get mad.
Sure. The Sinclair Broadcasting, who owns most of the local TV stations in the United States, including a lot of ABC affiliates, got mad. So Disney pulled Jimmy Kimmel's show, like completely killed it. And then there was a big protest against that. There were people like picketing outside, Disney's headquarters in Burbank. I don't know. A bunch of people canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions. And then I think a couple days later, he was officially reinstated.
I think it was a little more than a couple, but yeah, it was less than a week. I think it was about 4 days, if I remember. I think the press release said they talked over the weekend or something, which, seeing as it happened before the weekend started, I think it was about a 4-day span before it was officially back. But regardless,
I don't have the timeline in front of me. It's not all that relevant here. No. Just that it was like super big overreaction and obviously ridiculous, and Disney bending to the demands of the Trump administration to pull him for, again, not saying anything mean. Like I saw the last week Tonight segment where John Oliver pointed out that like Jimmy Kimmel posted a tweet like shortly after the killing that was like assassinations are bad, and I feel sorry for their family. Like, just completely ridiculous for his show to get canceled. But that's back. There was speculation that Disney brought him back to stop the mass Disney Plus cancellations because they were going to raise prices, which would make more people unsubscribe.
Mm-hmm.
And that has now happened. So Disney has raised or announced that prices are going up for a bunch of Disney Plus and Hulu plans. So on the Disney Plus side, again, like the bundles here are like maybe the worst case of skew hell I've ever seen in my life.
Yes,
like
they really
there's
are.
When you need like 10 tables, you went wrong somewhere. Something went seriously wrong. But you can check the pages if you're curious, and Disney's also sending out emails to everyone who's affected. But some highlights are that the Disney Plus and Hulu bundle, that where both of them have ads, is going from $11 a month to $13 a month. The current Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN bundle with ads on all of those is going from $17 to $20 a month. Some legacy plans are being updated. The Disney Plus, Hulu, and HBO Max bundle, all those have ads. It's going from $17 to $20 a month. The standalone Disney Plus plan with ads is going from $10 to $12 a month, and the premium plan with no ads going from 16 to 19. And some of the annuals are going up. As far as Hulu, yeah, the individual Hulu plan is going up. The one that has no ads is staying at 19 a month, and the one with ads is going from $10 to $12, and the annual is $100 to $120. So just again, you can go look at all the tables for all the numbers, but a lot of them are going up to some extent.
And a quick search just for the phrase price will increase reveals that 9 different SKUs will in fact be going up in price. Which again, like there's so many here. It's hard to judge what percentage it is going up. Well, I'm sure I could obviously just search and figure that out, but yeah, nevertheless, this is kind of ridiculous, seeing as they had a price increase, correct me if I'm wrong, less than a year ago?
I don't remember anymore. Everything gets mixed up.
Yeah, all of them have gone up at some point or another. I feel like Disney, I could be wrong, but I thought that they had one just like 8 or 9 months ago.
There was one in August of 2024.
Okay.
So a little bit further back, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, this one finally got me. I've been a Hulu subscriber for, it might have been since like 2017, 2018. And then I had the Disney Plus add-on, which was a great deal for a long time. But they finally jacked up my yearly Hulu sub from $100 to $120. So that's what, 10 a month? 120 divided by 12. Yeah, $10 a month. And then my Disney Plus add-on it started like $2 a month, but this time it was going from like 4 to 7 or something. So I'm paying like, just a lot of money. So I finally killed it. So when that yearly sub expires, that'll be it. But I don't know. It's I don't really know what the game plan here is, because
More money.
I know. Yeah, but like how, especially with the economy in the United States collapsing, how many people are leaving their subs on autopilot? Like that's getting to be more noticeable as they go up, and also food is expensive.
Yeah, I look at this and I mean, don't get me wrong. We've seen how this math plays out. Every time there's a price increase like this, they've done whatever research they can to figure out how many people are we going to lose, and those subscriptions are just going to be gone, versus how much do we make in addition, or how much more do we make off of the people who stay. They've done that math, and they're probably correct. They will probably make more money. Meanwhile, the people who leave are, in some cases, just leaving to another service that's cheaper and will still provide them some amount of entertainment. I think a large percentage of the people, and this is where I think they're making a massive mistake. A large percentage of those people are going to leave and say, you know what? Piracy. It's the answer. And maybe they switch to like a Plex setup with like a NAS, or just like an old PC sitting in their home running it. Maybe they switch to just using some other friend's Plex service, who knows. Or they go Jellyfin or whatever. Or maybe, in some cases, people start using like pirate streaming services. Some of those exist.
Yeah.
And there are like other ways to do this using like torrents for quasi live viewing and whatever. So there are ways that people will just start pirating the content instead of watching it through the service. I think I think that's where Disney and everybody else is making a big mistake here, because getting people onto your service in the first place, let's be honest, it wasn't that hard. If you offer up free service for a month or 2 months or whatever, people come to watch like The Mandalorian or Stranger Things, or name whatever show it is and whatever service. Getting them on there wasn't that hard. Keeping them on there generally isn't that hard either. But once you drive them away, how do you get them back? Because if you incentivize somebody to go figure out how to start pirating stuff, why are they ever going to come back? Like, once they get a workflow down where piracy is the easy thing to do and it costs them nothing or much less. Let's be honest, if your one cost in piracy is like a VPN or something, that's still cheaper than pretty much any streaming service. Like, I'm sorry, but once you get those people out of your ecosystem, you drive them away with increasing prices and maybe a few bad content decisions, like canceling a show people like watching. You're basically just sending them away for good, and a lot of them will just never come back, or they only come back when some crazy set of circumstances tells them like, oh, it's finally worth coming back.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm sure at a certain point the math starts to factor in where Netflix is counting on getting a surge of people back for what's the Stranger Things show you just said. And like maybe some of those people stick around because they forget to unsubscribe, but some of them will go back to being unsubscribed and go somewhere else. So it does feel like if that increases, we're just getting to the point where we're just buying movies and shows again, but in this weird indirect thing that where it's a subscription.
Yeah, I don't doubt that we're gonna see another rise of sort of the habit of like subscribe for a month, watch stuff, and then either unsubscribe before the month is over, or even literally just subscribe for the month and then like 5 minutes later unsubscribe so that you don't get charged again. Like, I'm sure that kind of thing is probably going to be on the rise again, and it should be. And I that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And the services even kind of explicitly allow it. So it's not a bad thing. It's just I really do think that as they drive more and more people towards piracy, they're driving their customer base sort of indelibly away. And this always gets compared to iTunes. The streaming services get compared to iTunes a lot because they made it really easy to be able to watch what you want to watch at like really convenient times. And iTunes was famous for basically creating a music catalog. You could buy what you wanted to listen to, download it immediately, and stick it on your iPod and start playing it anytime you want. Like, that was an experience that was just simply better than piracy to a lot of people. Why, I don't know, but that's a separate discussion. I now look at this and I'm thinking, well, pirating TV and movies is pretty simple these days. Like, that's a cakewalk. So,
and this is also an important thing you can do for the young people in your life. If you've got like a niece or a nephew, get some kids. Yeah, show them how BitTorrent works. That's an important life skill.
And
Make
teach them
make
to
sure
use a
that
VPN that's
right.
located
Make sure
outside of
they're
the
doing
country.
it safely.
Use
You know,
protection, kids.
yeah, wouldn't want. I mean, this is literally what I do with my family members. Is like I know, like here's a BitTorrent client. Here's my VPN login. Please use that so the ISP doesn't send angry letters.
Yeah.
So
Um.
yeah, I don't know. I'm frustrated because I held out for a while because I mean it's I just like everything being there, and I can, go watch an old Pixar movie whenever I want without owning all of them out on like the highest imaginable quality. Like that was a nice thing when I first had, when I first got Hulu and Disney Plus. Is like, oh yeah, here's all these Disney movies I remember watching on VHS or DVD, and I never like got around to buying them on 1080p or 4K Blu-ray. And that's nice, but is the pricing model here is getting a little bit crazy now.
Yeah, and you know, compare that
And so I
with
can just sign up for a month again the next time I want to watch a lot of those in a row.
right, and compare this with like music streaming. Music streaming, I would argue, is still okay because for one, it's more of a hassle to maintain
Yeah.
a giant collection. Um, and
And it's easier to rip off lots of individual artists than it is, the Walt Disney Company. So
right. But music streaming outside of Spotify, prices also really haven't gone up in most instances. Most of the music streaming services still cost about the same now as they did like a decade ago. I don't know if Spotify's actually gone up. I just know that they have more expensive options now. And I believe YouTube Music went up once ever. I could be wrong on that. And it's also something you want to have available in your car. You want to be able to listen like in different scenarios as opposed to just watching something at home. So music streaming services have supplanted iTunes in a very good positive way, and they've done good things to keep their customer base, and they haven't been raising prices. Meanwhile, all the TV streaming services have been like, no, we got to squeeze more money. We're going to make this situation worse in every conceivable way. We're driving away customers who used to share their passwords with their family members. We're basically telling you, don't give us money. They're telling as many people as they can, don't give them money. They're asking for it. Look, I'm not here to try to endorse piracy per se, but when the streaming services are kind of telling everyone that's what they should be doing, listen to them. Let them tell you that.
Yeah, Alyssa said CDs need to come back, and Diablo said I still actually buy a CD every once in a while for a good album. Yeah, I've slowly accumulated CDs for the albums I like. Really, most about half of my CD purchases are just like weird music that just aren't on streaming or on online. Like I've been slowly accumulating because again I'm a functioning adult. Disney Park audio CDs where they get like all the music from the rides and stuff. That's kind of neat. Not, like basically, if those exist online, I couldn't find them easily in a good quality. So they were like, those are like $10-15 on eBay. No one cares about that. So great for me, ripping them into high bitrate MP3s. SoulSeek, yes. Okay, so I did actually figure out SoulSeek like last week. I still need to set it up properly, which is mostly figuring out how much of my music has my Apple account information embedded in it. Because Apple does that. Even though music I buy from Apple doesn't have DRM anymore, it still has data and metadata that I gotta rip out. So I did just get a couple Microsoft like Wolfenstein game soundtracks from there because we're on fuck Microsoft. But yeah, so I'll eventually get that working, and hopefully on my NAS so it can run all the time. But I tried to set it up, and it was like absolutely not happy being in Docker. So anyway, I guess we should move on before YouTube kills the stream for endorsing piracy. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm annoyed at those price hikes, and they finally got me to cancel. Speaking of money
And companies
ads,
doing sort of shady things.
yes, the Pocket Cast app, the infamous Pocket, the infamous podcast player, now has ads. Even if you bought the one-time purchase version, that does not have ads. So,
Yeah.
I don't know when, if ever, they stopped offering a one-time purchase for an ad-free version of the Pocket Cast.
Oh, that was ages ago.
Okay.
So, to my recollection, and the article does mention this, at various points the app has had different prices, but it started out, if I recall, on iOS for, I want to say it was like $7 or something. Then it basically fluctuated as high as 10 and as low as, I believe, 4, because I'm pretty sure when I bought it for $4. Anyway, yeah, so Pocket, maybe it was 5, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, Pocket Cast, when it was still its own company, that's when they were offering basically a one-time purchase. You got the app, that was it. There was no complications. It was just literally buy the app and it's yours to use. Then when it was purchased by, I believe it was NPR, or rather the company that owned NPR. At that point, it was they got rid of the lifetime version and turned it into a free app. However, they did offer a like plus service, which was basically a no ads version. And that was basically the way that it existed for the next couple of years until what's the name of Mullenweg's company?
Automatic.
Yeah, Automatic, yes. When Automatic bought it, they changed the name of it to Champions, I believe, which was basically still a lifetime ad-free version, and they say that you also get all the paid features, blah blah blah. And yeah, they basically continued with the otherwise, like, it's a subscription to remove ads. So from 2019 and on, it has been a subscription to remove ads. There has been no option to buy a lifetime subscription since that time, since NPR got it. And yeah, so now Mullenweg is saying that the ads that they're showing are a bug, which we've heard this a million times. It's the typical, oh no, oops, we're so sorry, we didn't mean to, but we did it anyway.
I mean, I can kind of believe that, just because I definitely think that there are so few of those eternal subscribers left, and I guarantee you they're not like quality testing that. Like, that's just not in the test they're doing that slipped through. But either way, the result is the same.
I mean, okay, I will agree. Yes, I'm sure they're not really actively testing this per se. And according to Mullenweg, which, God, I'm sorry, but I hate this guy.
He sucks.
Really
He's not. The competition for like bad tech CEOs is so overwhelming right now. So he's not even in the top 50, but he's still not good. Automatic definitely still, like, everything Automatic buys for the most part just kind of slowly withers away.
Yeah.
It's other tech companies, they buy apps, they buy random projects, and like within 6 months, those are gone or severely changed. Automatic buys stuff and then just doesn't really know what to do with it. Like they still don't really know what to do with Tumblr. A lot of the other apps they bought, Verizon couldn't figure it out either. The only thing I've seen from them that they bought and like try to continue updating and improving is Beeper. But that's really, I don't know if that's profitable for them or not. But
I can't imagine it is because it's lost its core functions. So
yeah.
Nevertheless, the ads that they're showing, as I understand it, were initially just ads like this, which I have on screen right now, which is an ad for day one. They also did show, apparently, ads to remove ads. Literally just like, hey, if you don't want to see ads here, you can pay for our Plus subscription or whatever it's called. Which, okay, I guess I get that, but yeah, rightfully, some number of people piped up saying, yo, this is against everything you promised. Don't do this. Like, stop it. And yeah, that really is kind of the correct thing to say. And so Mullenweg claims, quote, quoting the article, that there are only a few thousand lifetime Pocket Cast members. I think that's probably completely... well, maybe what he means is active members. But I'm going to just call BS on that because there's definitely more than a few thousand. At least that purchased the app. It was a wildly successful app on iOS before it even came to Android. And then when it came to Android, it was immediately and heavily hyped because it was one of the first podcast apps to actually adopt material design, if I remember correctly. So, a lot of people just sort of swarmed to it because it was the pretty app at the time. So, yeah, it sold well. Like, it sold really well. So, the notion that there's just a few thousand people with lifetime there's just simply no way that's true. Unless a whole lot of people just, like, picked up Pocket Casts and immediately abandoned it. I suppose that's a possibility, but I think we all know that's not the case. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's gaslighting as far as how many people this affects. Again, maybe as far as active users, different story. I still use Pocket Casts because I'm not quite motivated enough to go find a different podcasting app. Which is funny to say because I'm right on the edge of just saying, screw it, I want to make my own podcasting app because I hate all of the ones that I have tried, and including Pocket Casts, for various reasons. So, I don't know. Yeah, I do think that there are probably a lot of people irritated by this, but maybe a lot of people haven't noticed it yet. I freely admit, I only sort of noticed it, and because, okay, when I open up Pocket Casts, for the most part, it opens up to the last playlist I was playing from, which I don't ever change the playlist anymore. I hit the play button, and I promptly turn off the screen. I don't look at anything. I don't use the app outside of that. That is the whole experience right there. And so I saw a banner, and it didn't even click to me that it was an ad. I just saw a banner the last time I opened the app and thought, oh, they're probably notifying for something. I don't have time to look at it right now. I'll look at it later. And that was it. So, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people, similar experience. They just literally don't look at it. And so they've evaded noticing it at the moment, but eventually more and more people are going to notice this.
Yeah. So that's Pocket Cast. They're doing some silly stuff. Um, and speaking of silly stuff, I just wanted to quickly complain about this because it's ridiculous. Um, Windows 11, uh, again, much like a lot of what Microsoft does, I think at its core, a good improvement over Windows 10 and generally fine outside of all the compatibility stuff. But the shit they pile on top of it because they need like 5% user growth for insert Microsoft app or service here is just makes the entire thing unusable. Like Microsoft Edge, like as soon as you get your new PC, Microsoft Edge becomes like malware and tries to like import everything from a browser unless you know like specifically which checkbox to not check. Windows will be in your face about Copilot and like adding, installing the app on your phone so it integrates with your PC. And signing up for Game Pass and Xbox Live. And like a few months ago, I was getting push notifications for the new Call of Duty game because Microsoft bought Activision and they really need a return on that investment. So now it's my problem. So it's gotten pretty bad. This one might actually be the worst example I've seen, which is saying something. Which is in the I believe it's in both the dev channel and the beta channel for Windows 11. They're testing a change where as in Windows, as you hover over the icons in the taskbar, it shows a little preview of the window, right? Well, now there's a share with Copilot button on that pop-up below the window. And they say in this blog post, when mousing over an opened app on the taskbar, you will see an option to share with Copilot, where you will be able to quickly start a new conversation with Copilot and use Copilot Vision to scan, analyze, and offer insights on what is shown on your screen. So the Copilot Vision thing is like already a button in Windows. It's already a keyboard shortcut. If people want to use it, it's there. I have no doubt that when you're setting up a new Windows 11 PC, this is one of the things it tells you to use. So this extra button is completely unnecessary. Even if you like really like that, you can just use the keyboard shortcut or whatever. It's not that hard. The fact that the button is below the window, which makes it the shortest distance from where your mouse is a pretty strong indicator to me that they are banking on people accidentally clicking this, because it is where you would click, where your like muscle memory would go to click the window to open it, because that's how Windows has worked for a decade or two. I don't know how long they've had the preview since like Vista, Windows 7 or Vista. So the button could be above the window, but then no one will accidentally click it because you don't need to move your mouse up there. So it's just plainly gross. Like, it doesn't need to be there. This really seems designed for accidental clicks and activations. So some product manager in Microsoft can go, look, we boosted Copilot usage by 10% this quarter because everyone's accidentally clicking the button. In much the same way as the original implementation of Copilot in Microsoft Edge, which, if anyone remembers, was it was in the toolbar. It was a bigger button than all the other buttons, and it was colorful. Well, none of the other buttons were colorful. And it opened the Copilot sidebar if you dragged your mouse over it for like a second and left it there, which no other button in the browser did, and still doesn't. They eventually reverted that, so you do click on it now to open it, but like it's that same thing where it's like you are banking on people accidentally opening this, so you can pretend your stats are better than they are.
Yeah, it's the typical like hostile user pattern.
Yeah, and it's it's just astounding to me that uh, Microsoft like has again some good products. I don't really like Windows all that much, but like there's some parts of it I like, but they're covered just all this extra crap that no one wants is piled on top. You know, everyone does is now like Apple has some annoying stuff too, but it's nothing quite like this. Um, and it just going back to the streaming service discussions, like I think you get to the point where people are going to more actively seek out alternatives, um, which Microsoft has already done. Already shot itself in the with that with the Windows 11 system requirements.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people are staying on 10 who could be on 11, and maybe it's easier to sell stuff to people when they're on 11. I don't know. Some of those people are going to Mac and Linux. So it's astounding to me. And I don't know. I think whoever implement this should feel bad. And hopefully it this gets like quietly reverted in a couple weeks, and doesn't roll out to everyone. But a lot of other annoying things have fully rolled out in Windows 11. So I'm not holding out hope for that. There might be a registry option you have to turn off somewhere in addition to the dozens of others.
You know, you just said that the person that implemented this should feel bad. I think about, and you'll know what I'm referring to here. I think about a certain addition of AI that was added to a tool that you and I have both used in the past, and not just the AI, but really all the things about that particular piece of software. We said many times the developers of this should feel bad, and we realize they don't. We know they don't. It's a safe bet that the people who are making this stuff, they just don't actually care at all. And I kind of have a feeling that's just where we're at now. Is people don't mind if they're basically ruining their own software anymore. It's okay with them. Sorry to be cynical about it. Feels like that's going to be the tone of the day. But yeah, I think whoever made this is probably sitting there going, you know what? We're doing something good for the company and good for AI, and obviously, like, this is something everyone's going to be using. Guys, no, it's not. Like, it just isn't.
Yeah, again, like you're making people buy a Mac is what.
Yeah.
The next time they need a new computer, anyway, obviously.
Which, thanks to the Windows 11 requirements, is more and more common.
Yep. Yeah. Every blog post Microsoft has published for the last year about Windows is like, make sure to buy a brand new Copilot Plus PC. And I'm like, I don't know how many people are jumping at the chance to do that still.
I'm sure there's some number, but yeah.
Speaking of buying a new PC, Google is more officially, I guess, talking about bringing Android to PCs. So this has been a thing that's like, I can't keep track anymore of how long it was a rumor and then how long it was like an AOSP code. But there's been a general plan to merge Chrome OS with Android. And Qualcomm is doing its annual summit in Hawaii right now. And I think it was Rick Osterloh, was on stage, and he talked about building. I'll just quote what the first said. Osterloh said, "Quote: In the past, we've always had different systems between what we're building on PCs and what we're building on smartphones, and we've embarked on a project to combine that. We are building together a common technical foundation for our products on PCs and desktop computing systems." End quote. And then The Verge said he went on to confirm that Google's plans involve bringing Gemini and the full Android AI stack, of course, along with all of our applications and developer community into the PC ecosystem. So again, not really like this. might mean nothing. Like this is kind of ongoing theme here has been like this probably doesn't mean you go to the store and instead of a Chromebook they have an Android book and it looks and works like Android. It might just mean Chrome OS has more Android bits in it, or as the evidence is mounting from work going on in Chrome for Android, it might be Android with like as close to the desktop Chrome browser as they can get, and that's kind of like what a Chromebook will be moving forward.
Okay,
But
so I'm gonna cut you off here because I'm guessing you just didn't see the other link that's on this topic now. But yeah, this is fully confirmed, and they've given enough of the details about what they're planning. Plus, they've set a timeline. They're saying this is coming out next year. But what it's basically going to be is they're merging, as you said, they're merging Android and Chrome OS. And it is intended to actually be basically more Android than it is Chrome OS. Or at least that's the way that it's coming across. And yeah, they're basically going to replace the entire subsystem of Chrome OS, like the underlying bits, with Android. And I believe that I think they're intending to keep some of the Chrome OS features set, but it's still basically going to be like Android underneath, and all the Android features are obviously going to bubble up too. But
yeah, like in this quote, they say, so what we're doing is we're basically taking the Chrome OS experience and re-baselining the technology underneath it on Android. So yeah. Still doesn't negate the possibility that they're still going to call it Chrome OS and Chromebooks, but it will be more of the same.
Yeah, the branding obviously could stay Chrome OS. And if they do that, fine, sure, whatever. But
it doesn't really change anything where Chromebooks for the last 5+ years have their general perception is laptop with Android apps. So kind of just more of the same there.
Yes, and I think maybe a little bit no. It does depend, because there are certain things that they did do work on that in order to make it work on Chrome OS, that they haven't done that work for Android. So things like running Linux apps, like an actual Linux container. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to be a hard thing to do at this point. Maybe it's an easy thing to do, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they've experimented with that. There is the like partially functioning Linux VM on newer Android builds.
Sure.
So that's just the thing that they got to keep scaling up. And again, whatever's happening with the desktop mode Chrome, assuming that will have extensions at some point, and it's going to be really funny when that has extensions, but Chrome for Android on phones does not. Or maybe it just doesn't have extensions at all. That would be really funny. It's like, oh, sorry, you bought the laptop we made worse.
Yeah. So regardless, this is obviously going to be a thing. They are presumably going to go full scale in attempting to basically make a desktop OS or desktop OS like thing that is running Android, as opposed to Chrome OS. And if you've been paying attention to the Discord at all, you've already seen Hoopy and I discussing this last night, or this morning, essentially begging multiple questions like, who is this for? Who wants this? Look, in my opinion, if you're a Chrome OS user today and you like Chrome OS, you're probably going to love this. Like this, I'm sure is an improvement on what Chrome OS was. Or, well, improvement once they get the bugs worked out. Rather, I don't want to oversell how bad this is probably going to be for the first year or two, but or undersell, whatever. Um, but I, if this is meant to be like just Android on the desktop, who wants this? Does this appeal to any particular group? Because look, Chrome OS had its specific purpose when it first came out. Everyone understood, like, this is the thing we want grandma to use this. We want you to be able to give this to your kid who has zero computer literacy. We want you to be able to like run this in schools because it's something that can be provisioned out and basically reset on a whim. That was the sales pitch for Chrome OS, and it grew beyond that, as it should. That was smart. But at a certain point, it started becoming a question of, okay, it outside of those groups, who is it for? Because there's still Windows and Mac OS and desktop Linux. These are all things that honestly were just better experiences than Chrome OS for anything that wasn't still that baseline, like it reset on a whim kind of quality. Who does Android for desktop appeal to? It still has to compete with all those other operating systems. It has to presumably bring something to the table, and I'm not convinced I know what that is. About the only thing I can think of is it has a fairly good permissions model. Kind of. Which also, that permissions model isn't going to reflect the desktop very well either. And then there's a couple decades of maturity that Mac OS and Windows have over Android, and yes, they also come with a lot of baggage and some complications, but they've solved a lot of problems that Android hasn't even approached yet. I'm just not sure I see how this ever makes it in the market, and if it doesn't have instantaneous pickup, Google has a reputation for dropping projects really easily. Like, they are mid-2000s Fox when it comes to just canceling shows. If the pilot doesn't pull the highest numbers imaginable, they just cancel it. Like, that's Google. I don't see how this is going to pick up that kind of success quickly enough to keep Google's interest.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would occupy the same place Chromebooks are now, which is like you need a laptop with a keyboard and a trackpad and has a web browser and can run some phone apps if you want. Like, that's already what Chromebooks have been for the last couple of years. Like, they gave up on the sort of thin client idea a long time ago. So I think it would just occupy that space, which doesn't really feel like an innovative or growing one. But I think that's the spot where it would fit in. The only like potentially interesting thing here is Google makes a version of Chrome OS for generic PCs now, but like they don't advertise it a ton. It's the thing that they bought from Cloud Ready.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it's called. And that version does not have Android app support because the Android app support is dependent on, the Chromebooks being registered as an Android device for all the DRM stuff and app support and whatnot. So I'm assuming that would change when they do this, because it would be weird to have an Android OS that doesn't run Android apps. Maybe it doesn't have the Play Store still or something. I don't know. But like, if Google was super serious about this, that would be, if I was in charge of this and I was like, how do we make Android on PCs like interesting or successful in some way that Chrome OS wasn't, I would be like, yeah, here's Android on OS. You install it just like desktop Linux. Hello everyone who's still on Windows 10. guess what we have? A modern OS that works great because it's designed for phones with a gig of RAM, and it has all the Gemini stuff on here too. You might want that. I don't know, but I
And,
don't think they're going to do that.
and that was obviously their push, was the Gemini stuff. They think that a lot of people are going to be super jazzed about AI, so they're, trying to move Gemini in as the big value add for this. Which is funny because it's more like a value add for them rather than the value add for the consumer, but whatever. But I don't know. Look, I get part of the sales pitch, I do, but then I come back around to like who actually wants this? Like, who is going to actively choose this? And yes, the same Chrome OS people are still going to be interested in this, and that's fine. If that's
because they have to be.
Yeah,
Like, this is the eventual migration path. You have to get on or you have to switch.
right. But if all they're doing is replacing the existing user base with the same user base, okay, maybe that's good for their development costs, and I'm not going to dispute that is a win in and of itself if they can basically supplant the Chrome OS development team with the Android OS development team. If that's the case, cheers. Like, hey, I get it. That's just efficiency. But if they're doing this in any sort of attempt to gain a larger user base, my question is, who, from where, and why? Like, which people are out there are going to look at this and say, oh yeah, you know what? I want to run Android on the desktop instead of Windows or Mac OS. And, yes, there are some people who are just going to want to do that because they like it. They're more used to it in some way. Sure, fine. But they need things like software to run. No one's I bang this drum a lot, but no one's out there making like high-end video editors for Android. No one's out there making fun fact, OBS for Android. Nobody is out there making a lot of the things that people would want a desktop for. And that, I think, is where this starts to fall down, as it kind of always does. And it becomes the same story that we heard over and over again with tablets. Which, I don't remember where the quote is, but let's see.
Yeah, they said we also have Android tablets that have been super successful. They're becoming more productivity machines all the time.
That's simply not true.
I don't think so.
Android
tablets are successful. Yes, they're everywhere. Like, if you buy a tablet and your budget is $100, that's where you go.
Yeah, though those are also not running Google's flavor of Android for the most part.
Yeah, most of them aren't.
So yeah, I'm sitting here asking the same question that everyone has had to ask over and over and over again about Android tablets. When does this become a thing anyone wants? And so far it is not hitting that mark. It's not filling that responsibility. So, with Google's history on tablets, I have to keep coming back to the basic question of how's it going to be any different with desktops? I just don't see that path.
My honest take here is that I think this is something that is being hyped up because there's not really anything else to talk about right now. ultimately this is a hype up of a bog standard architecture switch. This is Apple going from Intel to Apple Silicon. Like, it's just what they need to do for a bunch of different engineering and practical and cost saving things. And there's going to be some functionality that gets lost because they don't want to port it. There's going to be some new features, and in the end, like, it probably, I think that was maybe a bad example because that was like something that broadly had like very good changes attached to it and enabled a lot of things. But this is just a software switch. This is just like, oh, we're going to change up some of the bits from the engine because we can, and we don't need to do this twice. Like, it doesn't make sense because it doesn't. Like, for the last couple years, Chromebooks have been going in more and more with the Android app layer and the Play Store. So why are you shipping a computer that has to run a entirely different OS in a virtual machine all the time because it doesn't have its own software? Like, what are you guys doing? So yeah, like, if your product is being pushed over and over again for an extended period of time as an Android thing, like, yeah, why wouldn't you switch the bottom part to Android? It doesn't change anything. And again, they could use this transition to be like, yeah, we're going to make it like a distro you can install and all this other stuff. I don't think they're going to do that. I think realistically, Android is going to get like marginally better with the keyboard and mouse. If you've ever used like Samsung DeX, you'll know it. Like, it always feels weird. Like, it's not the same feeling as like using a Windows PC or desktop Linux or Mac. Everything's still designed for phones primarily, and even the parts that aren't, they feel a little bit off. So I think that part might get better, but like, I think this is just everyone getting really excited about a pretty mundane thing. I don't think it's going to impact anyone's lives significantly.
Just the way that they're phrasing.
I don't want to poo-poo on things, just to be clear. Also, like, and if I know people are excited for this. If this is what makes you excited, I'm happy for you. You're allowed to be excited about things.
Yeah, and likewise, I say it all the time. I'm a fan of companies trying things. I'm a fan of looking at things.
How dare you? I'm sorry, David. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I don't mean to take anything from here.
Yeah, I always like the idea of attempts to make things better. When something's stale or stagnant, when something isn't working, try new things or try different things. Try taking a thing that is known to be good and using it in other ways. These are all things that I will applaud, generally speaking. And I'm not trying to say that I think anything's wrong with this. What I'm doing is saying I'm not convinced that this is going to be like that we're about to see the new desktop OS wars. I think that ship has sailed.
Because they could have done that already with Chrome OS if they wanted.
I think they tried and failed. They didn't fail. They hit the maximum that Chrome OS was ever going to appeal. And that was basically like schools and a few other narrow situations.
Well, and they never, like, again, especially in this Android transition, they never figured out what their product is. Like, I had a Chromebook pretty early on, and like at that point in time before Android apps, it was built entirely as like futuristic cloud PC.
Mm-hmm.
It has an SSD. It boots up quickly. If you fuck it up, guess what? You can click reset, and all your stuff comes back. Like, it was a very limited scope, but it worked very well. And then they're like, well, we need to sell more Chromebooks, so it needs to run Android apps now. And it's like, okay, well, now people won't stop asking us for a video editor, so we got to put Linux apps on there now. So then there's just this pile of things that they're all designed weird and don't fully interact with each other, and it's just not a pleasant experience. And again, this doesn't really change that part. It's just like, we're cutting out the little bits that connected in between, and now everything's just on top of the Android layer. So
Yeah, and again, I'm fully on board with the idea of just simply changing the underpinnings. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing this at all. I what I'm what I'm getting at isn't that this is a bad idea. It's that I don't think anyone should expect to see anything come of this other than literally just changing the parts underneath. Because look, there's so much investment, there's so much of a world and history built around Windows, Mac OS, and even desktop Linux, and there's really not a lot of reason why anyone's going to leave those. But if you're creating a new desktop OS or revising an existing desktop OS, as they're basically promising to do here, there should be a reason for doing it. And if that reason is literally just, hey, we want to make Chrome OS easier and cheaper to develop, that's a good reason. If they're expecting to gain market share by doing this, I think that's misguided, foolish, and probably going to lead to some failure. And I guess to sort of put the exclamation point on this, the catch with that, the danger that comes with that is if they're investing enough into this and they're putting some amount of either reputation or value on this, they run the risk of, in 2 or 3 years, someone saying, oh, you guys really didn't achieve anything here other than, yeah, you lowered cost of development, you did this, you did that, like, good for you, you did some tangentially nice things, but you didn't get that market share that we wanted. At which point some product manager or some bean counter basically says, okay, so you failed to do anything successful enough for us. Yeah, we're just going to close this up. And then the whole project could go away or get minimized. The same way that it seems like Fuchsia has been pretty much axed. If it's not dead, it's got to be on life support. The same way that a couple of programming languages seem to and frameworks seem to have kind of been abandoned because they were successful. They just weren't successful enough by Google's metrics. The same way that, look, people can say what they will, but Stadia was not unsuccessful. It just wasn't successful enough. And that's where Google's lines get drawn. And when that happens, sometimes projects just shut down. So you never know. Maybe the commitment here could be killing Chrome OS as it is today, and then killing what Chrome OS becomes next year. It'll take a few years, but that could be the end result of this.
And Diablo said, and actually even in Android now in developer settings, I see more things looking like Chromebook experience stuff being worked on. And yeah, I mean, that's been a gradual process for the last couple of years, and I expect that will continue ramping it, because ideally they get everything that Chromebooks have now in Android before switching, because as we've talked about countless times, it's really annoying when companies replace one code base with another in a product and they leave like 20% of it out, and then it takes another couple months or years for that to come back, if it does.
Yeah, and Google has a really, really bad history of doing that too.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to beat up on Google for everything, but Google has some earned reputation when it comes to sort of some bad habits here. Not to say some of it isn't warranted, and I honestly, like, in at least probably a quarter of the situations, I would absolutely have made the same decisions. But there's also several.
But I found these results on search.
Shut up.
Life's off.
Um, I hate when that thing snaps hold of whatever I say. Anyway, there's enough history of Google's just sort of bungling things that were easy wins, and I don't want to discount the possibility that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and I don't want to use an Android PC, but I will say that this would fix my current biggest complaint with Chromebooks, which is that you cannot change the web browser. So
yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean, hopefully not. Again, maybe this will be a Chromebook mode that mysteriously doesn't let you change that. That'd be pretty funny.
Regarding would I want to use an Android PC, I will say, and this is something Hoopy and I did at least touch on in the discussion, for development, for app development, that would at least be a potentially appealing concept. Not that I think it's going to have better dev tools, but maybe the experience of like debugging or testing on an Android-based system, like do the code changes on an Android-based system, run the app effectively natively, that at least is a scenario I could see being good. I'm not saying it will be good. It's very possible to be terrible, but there's a possibility that that's better. And so maybe this would be a good thing for developers.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I remember before Windows killed off its Android app layer, that was a somewhat useful purpose for that, was to sideload your in-development APKs into there and use an app on your PC, kind of like it would work on a real device. But, so that's okay. So that's the Android and PC stuff. Nothing much to report yet. Just Google saying, yeah, it's going to happen eventually. I'll do real quick shout outs to the Qualcomm news today. Two things. Number one is the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which is their new super flagship chip for phones. It will be in the, I need to be careful and not say something I'm not supposed to yet. It will be in the flagship devices from Honor, Nubia, OnePlus, Oppo, Realme, Samsung, Sony, Vivo, Xiaomi, and ZTE. They mentioned new devices will be launched in the coming days. But this is just, their latest like super flagship chip for phones, so a step above the normal Gen 8. This is the one that's using the same, I believe, the same CPU cores that they made for their PC chips. So the phones that use this, the first gen of this, had a pretty noticeable performance boost. Kind of, the usual improvements here. It's faster, it's more power efficient. I don't know if they called it anything specific, except that it is the world's first mobile platform to record an advanced professional video codec, or APV. I mentioned that the CPU is 20% faster. The GPU enhances graphics-rich gaming by 23%. I don't know what that means. That's a very specific stat. You could just say it's 23% better. And the Hexagon NPU is 37% faster. So that's the chip that's going to go in a lot of phones near the end. I'm assuming near the end of this year, early next year is when we'll see those. So that's about it for the mobile chip, I think, because we don't have like benchmarks or anything yet. I don't think. Maybe. I think we do for the mobile chips, actually.
So, yeah, I'm I've talked about APV several times on here, so I'm not gonna rehash all of it. I'll just say I'm looking forward to that being a thing. I'm sort of surprised that it wasn't part of Google's chip, apparently, or it seems, in the Pixel 10. But yeah, I guess this kind of confirms, or at least suggests, that it's a thing that you really had to have hardware support for, and it evidently is just now happening. So,
yep. Sorry, Tommy's not feeling well. So the second announcement here was the Snapdragon X2 Elite. So this is the second generation of their PC chips. The first one showed up, I think, around the middle of last year, and that was the first wave of those Windows 10 on ARM laptops. And now there are quite a few PCs with those chips available from a lot of different companies. I think there's been a couple desktops now, but it's mostly been laptops. Because Windows 11 on ARM is still kind of rough, and that trade-off is not worth it for something that's plugged into the wall all day. So, mostly been laptops. The X2, so the product lineup is confusing. There is the Snapdragon X Elite, which is like their higher end, and then there's the Snapdragon X Plus, which is like kind of for more mid-range laptops. This is a new Elite series. So this is thinking like Intel Core Ultra 5 and Ultra 7, like that kind of area. There are two versions of the, actually, let me pull up my notes because I had to write an article about this. There are two versions of the X2 Elite. One of them has 18 cores and the other one has 12 cores. And then there is an X2 Elite Extreme, which is I think maybe slightly worse than Apple's Pro Max, but not by a lot. And that has just generally, I think, the same number of cores. Yeah, it's got 12 prime cores and 6 performance cores, but just faster clock speeds on all that stuff. So I don't think we have benchmarks for these yet. It's just, the same story of better performance, better power efficiency. One thing they did call out is that all of these chips are 80 TOPS for AI tasks. So even if you're not the kind of person who wants to play around with local AI models, which I think is 99.9% of the population, that's still nice to have there, because Windows is adding some features that use that are useful. Like I talked about, like the thing where it'll write text descriptions for images, or like analyze your screen and do local translation, that kind of stuff. And there's some like video editors that are using that for like masking and that kind of stuff. So that's nice. That's a lot of local machine learning power that things can use in the coming years. And of course, these support 5G. I feel like I didn't see very many PC laptops with the X Elite that were 5G enabled. So I don't know how many OEMs are going to do that this time around, but it is there for the ones that want it. And I think that's pretty much it. Supports Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.4. It supports 40 gigabit per second USB 4, but not Thunderbolt 4 or 5. So that's still an interesting separation. Again, not one that matters for 99.9% of people, but still worth noting. I'm interested to see actual benchmarks for these, because the numbers Qualcomm provided were kind of wishy-washy and not directly comparing against anything. I think if they beat Apple's chipsets, they would say that, because I think that's the benchmark everyone's kind of grading against right now in PC laptop chip world. So I don't know if they did that. We'll find out eventually. I believe all of the Snapdragon first gen Elite chips are now outbenched by the base M4, the Apple Silicon M4. So that's the curve now. So remains to be seen. Again, I'm glad to see that the PC ecosystem has something resembling Apple Silicon now. It's just that Windows 11 on ARM is still really rough. And like I don't think I would buy a computer for myself with one of these, just because there's so many edge cases where something does not work.
Right.
Unless I had another PC ready to go for the ones that don't, but that's not how people normally buy PCs.
Yeah. Relatively few people are packing their house with multiple computers.
Diablo said, hope you feel better soon. Thank you. Surface updates, let's go. I would assume so, but I don't know how long that will take. Because I know they just updated some of it. They updated, I think, the 13-inch tablets first, and then they updated the 10-inch ones much later. So I don't know what product cycle Microsoft is trying to do there. So I'm sure eventually.
I mean, it's certainly a safe bet that this will equate to Surface updates. But by and large, from what I've seen in the industry, anytime a chip manufacturer announces a new thing, they are almost simultaneously announcing something it will come with, or something it will come inside of, or there's an announcement somewhere within the next couple of weeks from some partner that's saying, hey, we're going to be the first to launch this, or we're about to have this thing, and maybe everyone's about to have that thing.
And Qualcomm did say that the first computers with this are expected to be available in the first half of 2026. So
that's further out than I expected, but not by much.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. Probably Apple will have M5 by then, or be close to it. So.
They will.
Yeah.
So yeah, that doesn't mean anything though. I don't think that you necessarily need to have the highest performing piece of hardware. You just need to have something that performs well and doesn't make people wish that they were using something else. Which to that end, again, the problems right now seem to be less about hardware and more about Windows not really having good answers. Though there is also something to be said where if the hardware isn't handling, or at least enabling, some amount of translation, it does make it harder for software to be easily answered. Because, I mean, that was something Apple got very right in their Switch. And it's just not happening with Windows.
The only Snapdragon X Elite thing I've tried is this review unit I reviewed last year, which is a Lenovo Yoga Flip laptop. And it's like this is like a high-end laptop with the chip. And like performance was fine. Like it was pretty speedy. Battery life lasted a long time because it's ARM. When I was trying it, I think all of the like core apps I needed were ARM, because it's mostly like Firefox and a couple smaller utilities. It was mostly games that like nothing's ARM. I don't think that's changed at all. And the compatibility layer for x86 software is basically exactly the experience of trying to run Windows apps on a Mac right now, which is that it does work. When it works, it's great, but it will not work for reasons that are completely unknown to you until you try it. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think I installed it on here, but I can run SimCity 2000 in Wine on my Mac, which is a Windows game released in like 1994. That runs fine. I can't play Overwatch though. Um, so it's like that. There's just a lot of weird edge cases, and I've seen a lot of, every time I'll go check like how's that doing over there, I'll see complaints from people who buy these computers, and they're like, this one app I need doesn't work, so I had to take back the laptop. And that's just a years long process to slowly fix or force people to find alternatives. So I would still not buy one of these as my main computer, but like I hope they continue to get better, because I don't want Apple to be the only company making like a laptop that doesn't suck, which is
they've
currently
been that
the
for
case.
about a decade. Yeah.
Yeah, like again, like even just going back to Windows laptops, like why can't you sleep normally? Why can't I put the Windows laptop to sleep and it won't randomly wake up at some point? Yeah, Diablo said Chrome and Drive finally do ARM stuff. Yeah, Chrome was fairly quick to release an ARM version, but Google Drive just their ARM version just came out of beta fairly recently, like I think a couple months ago. So, and that's one of the things that like you couldn't emulate because it plugged into File Explorer. So that's a no-no. That has to be native, same as every other driver and like core system component.
Yeah. So, for my perspective, and this goes right back to the same discussion about Android on desktop, but yeah, until a lot of the software is there, it's still a bit of a non-starter for a lot of people. It's closer because it's still Windows. There's still software that it can run, and thanks to things like the .NET framework, you do have, in many cases, the ability to run software that may have originally been intended for one framework or one architecture. You can, in some instances, still run that on other architectures, and it can be fine.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of apps are fine. A lot of them are ARM native. Some of them you do have to emulate, but it's an okay performance. Like I didn't play it on the Snapdragon laptop, but I have played like a lot of Civilization 5 and 6 in parallels on my Mac, and it's fine. All the browsers are ARM native now. It's just like weird edge cases that you can't predict, which is frustrating.
So yeah, and I know it's a bit of a different scenario, but it is also the exact same scenario. A while back, I reviewed a NAS from TerraMaster that had an ARM chip, and one of the biggest problems that I noticed with it right off the bat was the apps that were available for TerraMaster NASs. One, at the time, most of them were for the older version of their OS. And two, even if they were available on the newer version of the OS, which this came with, and by the way, a lot of the old packages were not compatible with, then there were basically no packages for ARM, except for a few things that they had custom made, and like Plex server. They made a point of, I assume, working with Plex specifically to make a ARM compatible build. And so yeah, there was almost no software that I could run on that, and that's, it's a NAS, so that's not necessarily the biggest problem in the world, but it is a problem. And there were a lot of things that I couldn't do even if I wanted to, because yeah, that architecture change, like I think Apple spoiled everyone by doing such a good job with translation, and no one else really got away with that. Everyone else is suffering through it so much more than Apple did.
Yeah, and again, this was Microsoft. This was like the third attempt at
Yeah.
Windows on ARM. So, and only on this attempt was there. No, wait. No, there was a compatibility layer in Windows for the second attempt, because there was the first one was Surface RT and like Windows RT that completely failed. Then they did the Windows 10 on ARM with like the earlier Snapdragon hardware, and I believe that could only run 32-bit x86 software. And then much later they started figuring out 64-bit. And then this time around they had the much better hardware, and the compatibility layer was better. But again, still not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
because it's Windows, and Windows has just been a mess for 30 years.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is still the only way that you can be a gamer.
Just not with those chips.
Yeah.
I tried. I'm sure it's better now, but when I tried Overwatch on this Lenovo laptop, it like basically didn't work. I think it was very slow, and it was trying to do some weird like AI upscaling thing that also didn't work. So it's just like it was not happening. Maybe it's better now. I don't know. I've not tried it. This only gets powered on when I need to test something on Windows ARM.
And to this note, obviously the key takeaway from this discussion should be, hey Blizzard, could you just give us Overwatch for Mac for Apple Silicon, please? That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like that. So that's the Snapdragon stuff. There might be more news because they're still doing their Hawaii event thing. I think there's more embargoes. I'm gonna try not to accidentally spoil something that I shouldn't spoil, but there might be some more news on that. But that's all for now. And then the last thing is
Speaking of
more
spoiling things,
more TikTok shenanigans. Supposedly, the infamous deal for TikTok to be legal in the United States is almost done. I think I saw I don't know if it's in this article, but there was a report saying it will be done Thursday, which is tomorrow. And what has leaked out is that or I'm sorry, this was an official report from the White House, because of course it was. This would transfer control of TikTok's U.S. operations along with a copy of the algorithm to a new joint venture based in the United States. The ownership group will have majority American investors and run by a majority American board of directors, the official said. And as previously reported, Oracle and private equity firm Silver Lake would be among those investors, along with some U.S. and global firms who are already invested in TikTok's parent company, ByteDance. There's also a report that Michael Dell and Rupert Murdoch might be involved to some extent. Don't really know yet. ByteDance will retain a less than 20% stake in TikTok US after the deal, but nothing's finalized yet. But just kind of what everyone's expecting. Like, yeah, the US version of TikTok will be very different in its content recommendations. I am absolutely certain I will bet the farm on the fact that searching things like Palestine or trans people just in general will be much harder. I have a feeling it'll probably be close, honestly, to what a fresh YouTube account looks like. Because like I see that every time where a YouTube link opens in Safari on my phone instead of the YouTube app, because iOS is like that. And so the recommended videos below that will just be the stock, like, you don't log in. And it's always like, liberal gets destroyed by facts and logic, or like, check out this, far lefty guy. Or like, here's why Trump's the best. I'm sure it'll be exactly like that. But probably worse. Because yeah, it's gonna be fun. I love that TikTok will be state-owned media in the US. Twitter is effectively that even if it's not, owned in the same way, the motives of the people building it are the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really cool. I really and as we've all seen from the last couple years, the entire cable TV information structure is super fucked up. So it's really cool that every source of information in the United States has already deteriorated significantly or will deteriorate.
I mean,
And
to some extent, that was already happening, but
yeah, it was already happening, but now it's fully official. It's more clear what's happening. Um, when major news organizations play advocate for the U.S. government over and over again, it's usually not as open as this. you know, the White House doesn't have like a 20% stake in Fox News or CNN or whoever, but the effect can be the same. But now it's very explicit here.
Okay, well, without necessarily picking apart the specific political ramifications of a social network as opposed to news organizations, yeah, I'm not a fan of this for assorted reasons. I think it goes beyond just obviously the lean of the algorithm, because like I mentioned last week, I think the notion that creators being able to build any sort of business off of this are probably going to be in really complicated places. It very possibly for the same political reasons.
Unless they're right-wing podcasters, which we treat with
Right.
the utmost respect, and when they die, it is a crime to not mourn
Careful.
them and yeah, I'm sorry. You can't see just out of frame is my big American flag. It is at half staff. You can't see it because it's out of frame, but it is there. Please don't come after me. The official flag of the RambleCast outside the RambleCast building.
Yes. So I think that this is going to have some well, to say negative impact on like the ability for anyone to make money off this platform, even including probably right-wing figures. Yeah,
Because they don't actually have to make money off the platform.
Yeah, that's part of it. But yeah, I just don't think that this is going to have a positive outcome for anyone who relies on this platform for money. And I'll point out
or information access.
Well, yeah, that one's a given. But which these are both notorious problems with Oracle as it is. Oracle is both really bad at actually maintaining information. Anyone who's ever used their database products is familiar with that. And when it comes to money, Oracle is kind of also terrible. They do not like giving away any amount of money at all. So if they're a relevant stakeholder here, I think pretty much any system of compensating creators is going to likely not pay out even as well as TikTok has thus far, which is really bleak when you consider TikTok is famously like only good for a very small minority of its creator base. That it's pretty well known. If you make videos there, if you're not pulling, I think it's 8-digit views on every video, you're probably making barely enough to like eat in a given month, which is not a great story.
Yeah, I mean, as usual with everything the current administration is doing, it is just generally making everything worse for most people, unless you're already pretty rich.
I mean, yeah, that's certainly true too.
Even a lot of those people, right?
Yeah.
Your average small business owner with, let's say, a couple million in net worth cannot get a bribe from the president in the same way as Tim Cook. So
Right. Um
and we've tried, the official RambleCast building, which has its flag at half staff. We have tried sending a golden statue to President Trump. We did not get a response yet, but there's still time.
Yeah. So, also kind of the related and very closely tied to it part of the story is, while Oracle is going to be getting the algorithm, they have to evidently retrain it from the ground up. Literally fully fresh data. Which, man, yes, like Corbin
Which
said,
means that it's going to not work.
yeah.
Like, I'm not even convinced that, like, if they go, I don't really know if they would go through that, because as everyone involved in this entire stupid process has said, the algorithm is the product. Like, that is why TikTok is where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't know if they would actually do that. They might just be saying stuff. But yeah, if they do that, it's gonna like just not work anymore.
Well, what I have a feeling this actually means, and I could be wrong, but I get a distinct impression that their definition of what it means to retrain from the ground up is probably going to be the only videos they train on are probably going to be those posted by US users. Or, maybe from approved countries or something like that. And this goes back to what I kept saying in the past about what is going to be the international equation here when it comes to videos posted by individual countries and videos that people would be watching from their own country versus other countries. And, obviously language plays a big factor in what gets recommended to you, but it's not just language. It's locality, it's obviously things that you're interested in or show an interest in. But like, if you're a US user who happens to watch a lot of stuff that's coming out of, let's say, England, you're probably going to keep being offered stuff that's coming out of England, at least with the current algorithm situation. What happens in a few months after Oracle has retrained all of this data? Are you gonna still get anything from England even if you try to get that stuff? If you're watching those videos on purpose, are you going to still see them? Are they ever going to be recommended to you? Who gets paid for those views? How do these things work? These are all really big questions that don't seem to be... Look, the deal isn't out yet, or it's not inked yet, supposedly, so, obviously some of this stuff we just aren't going to know, and some of it we'll never know because I'm sure it gets to remain private. But I think there's a lot here that's going to be really complicated and really tricky, and I don't think that anyone working on this deal recognizes how complicated it's actually going to get. Which is also kind of leading to the other point of, if you like TikTok today, expect to not like it when this goes through. Like, at the end of this process, expect to like TikTok even less, or stop liking it. Because I honestly, yep. I don't see a version of this story where it gets better.
Because there's not. We all know the purpose of this, which is that TikTok is the one platform that was not under U.S. control. and it's really popular, so it needs to be under U.S. control. So this is what happened. And again, the law that set all this into motion that Trump has now illegally broke like 4 times by extending the deadline was bipartisan. So you can't even be like, oh, those stupid Republicans making TikTok worse. No, it was just stupid in general. They were all pretty stupid.
You know, I'm still not hard judging that one because we still don't know the facts on the background. Like, we don't know if there was actual so-called Chinese spying going on. Was that just a BS line? Was it not? We aren't privy to any sort of intelligence reports that would say one way or the other.
Right. They never presented that evidence.
Which
So,
I remember asking several times, hey, can we just get some sort of confirmation that that's actually what's happening? And if so, why isn't it already blocked?
yeah. Or again, you just pass digital privacy laws.
Well,
Like,
China's not
that's
necessarily going to respect those, but
well, then that's your justification
Yeah.
for banning them. Like, again, put everyone on the same foothold. That's the part that was making me turn into the Joker about this when it was initially. It's like, can we please get actual laws like the EU has and a lot of other countries have? No, we're just going to target TikTok and only TikTok because that's not the one that any American company owns, and the kids really like it. So we have to put a stop to this.
yeah, and that has always been the very obvious background issue. Is it's a way to try to control whatever messaging is getting out through that platform, which is why TikTok, which very famously was extremely left oriented for many years, is now going to be owned by only right-wing figures.
I mean, it is like the social media equivalent of like regime change.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the U.S. didn't like that organization very much. Let's go overthrow that.
Yeah, it's this is effectively a invading a country.
Yeah, and we're doing just as good of a job at it as we've always done.
Yep. And there's still no evidence that this is actually, if there was Chinese spying, there's no evidence that anything has been done about that. Which I think is probably the biggest red flag here of all. But
No, we'll hit them with a 3,000% tariff instead. That'll fix it.
oh yeah, that fixes everything.
So yeah, that's it. We're out of things.
Indeed.
No more news.
So let's see. Again, Tech-a-thon. I almost said Tech Tales. Tech-a-thon this Saturday, starting at it was 11 a.m. Eastern. You said.
Yes.
Corbin again, not knowing.
I that was what was in my head, but I feel the need to confirm it because brain doesn't work.
That's fair. And hey, for what it's worth, I will have to probably look at the schedule 2 or 3 more times just to, like, I know what time I start, and yet I still have to keep looking at it like, okay, gotta remember noon my time. So yeah, we'll obviously be hopping on. I think under the circumstances, I'm probably just not going to stream on my own channel on that day. Corbin, actually, random question, but would there be any opposition to restreaming on my channel?
I don't see why not. I don't, because that still has the the donate stuff there.
Right.
So
yeah, it's still just pushing people to donate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mentioned doing that last week, I think, when you weren't here or something like that.
I mean, I don't think it matters. I think in a different scenario where like maybe we had like several streamers that wanted to do that, it would kind of divide up all of the potential views and limit how far we could get up in Twitch's list, but that's not happening here. So
Yeah. Well, under the circumstances, maybe I'll just do it during the Overwatch segment because we're not going to be competitive there anyway. But yeah, we'll see, and I'm not sure that I'll do it as is. Haven't put a lot of thought into how that would work. But yeah, anyway, let's see. So yeah, everyone should come by, support Doctors Without Borders if you can, and come check out all the antics we're surely gonna get up to.
yes. Come watch, go spend money. You can donate early also if you want. If you don't, if you're gonna catch it or catch it later, and you're like, I don't want to deal with this later, and I'm gonna forget. You can do that early if you want. Someone already did $10. I have to figure out who that was. Yeah, definitely show up and talk in the chat, because the only thing worse than me trying to talk and be on a live stream for 12 hours is talking on a live stream to myself. So hopefully that's avoided.
Well, hey, you won't be on there alone most of the actually at all.
Yeah, the only one was that Overwatch block that I bullied you into.
You didn't bully me into it. I literally told you, let's be honest, I'm going to do both of them.
Okay.
And then I suggested let's just smash the two blocks together because the discussion section used to be in between those two 1 hour segments. So yeah, there was no bullying there except me bullying you into changing the schedule. Let's see. So in addition to that, do you have anything else that you want to pitch, plug, or mention?
Nope.
Okay. In that case, I will say again, probably I either won't stream Saturday on my own channel, or it'll be a different time. Sunday for sure will be game streaming as usual, and then we will be back next week for RambleCast again as usual. Let's see. Plus, I will have very soon some not super exciting announcements, but a couple things coming up. So you'll hear about one of those in the Discord for sure first. The other, I don't know when I'll be talking about it, but it's coming up really quick. So yeah, things happening. Anyway, with that, thank you all for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation, and love having everyone in the chat room. Huge thanks to supporters of the channel: Diablo, David, Austin, Carson, and Alyssa. Y'all are awesome. And if you've watched this stream and would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. Again, we'll see you next time. And with that, good night, everybody.
Bye.